I got this connected to the electricity now, so the battery's shall be charging. Yeah, this is Tuesday, 11:25, 39 seconds, year 2023, 7th month, July, 11th day. Captain's log. I am Captain Russell Edward Eskew, agent. Lane number RE 043 731 210 US. Not only am I a captain, I'm also a warrant officer, private auditor, private military warrant officer on the private side. Military warrant officer. And that's not the only hat that I wear. I hold every position that there is because I realize that every position has to be held in order to be self-sufficient and fully self-independent. I have not been commissioned. I am non-commissioned. I brought forth this position. I wrote up the book, I wrote the contracts up, and I put the agreements forth and got agreements at the highest levels, as high as it goes. I am not the creator, but legally, if that's the word that you or that anyone likes to use, and that through the understanding that they have, then I can speak that language too. Yes, publicly and legally, I created everything. I fabricated everything. I nailed it all together. I put all the iron in the mold, heated it all up. I used all the elements all around me to create what I created with this position that I hold universally. But privately, it's just something I put together. It's just who I am. It just happened that way. Privately, I'm not a creator, because there's legally, everything in the legal world is limited. And it's a story. Everything in the legal world is a story. And that story is an abusive story. And that abusive story is stuck in the mud with the abuse. And that stuck in the mud abuse is looking to keep it that way forever. Although lawfully and privately I could say I'm the creator, but there is no limits, because it's not stuck in the mud. It moves around, because being stuck in the mud is just stuck, it's not moving. Although there could be some wheels spinning, it's not moving, it's stuck. And then when the mud dries, then that stuck mud, that wet mud, becomes cement. And at that point, it's kind of hard for the wheels to spin until the next rain comes. And then it gets muddy again, and the wheels spin. And it's a constant evolution like that, from what I can see right now as I'm speaking this. But anyway. So, captain's log, warrant officer's log, JAG log, admiral's log, major's log, every position. I call it whatever I want, but most people are familiar. I use these particular, I use popular terms that people on the street, because I realize that there are ears that listen to things. And, so I want to speak the language that they understand. So usually captain's log, or, this is a diary or a memoir or for and on the record. It's all the same thing. So, anyway. So, captain's log. So, getting back to what I spoke to that agent, Spenser is his name. And I did not even bother to write down his IRS number. I didn't deem it that important. Because I'm really not looking to go after him. But if I wanted to, I could. So, I'm really not looking to go after anyone, but if I want to, I could. Because I've got all the contracts in stone. They're all set. I've said everything that really needs to be said. It's all in the record. And the record is connected to the thoughts and body actions. And I don't have to write down anything no more anymore, although I have that option. And to edit all the writings that I wrote on the contract, all I have to have happen is just put it in thought or a body action, which this mouth right here running is a body action. So the thoughts and this mouth running together. Or, just think it without having to bring any mouth onto it. But usually I like to bring some mouth with it. So, and it's so far it seems to be happening every time. But, and just because I just thought it without verbalizing it, doesn't mean that there was no verbalization to it. Because what I've learned is that the body vibrates with the thoughts. It could be the smallest electrical pulse to the muscles, and that smallest frequency in that vibration. So there is some, some somewhat equal power on both sides. Although it seems to come more equally when I actually, launch it out into the air, called the radio broadcast. But anyway, so getting back to what I spoke to with this agent named Spenser concerning the question that he asked me. He says, is there an agent connected to this tax account? So, what I told him went something like this, although this is not word for word verbatim, as I'm relaying it right here on this record. Also knowing, too, that the word for word verbatim is on the surveillance record, and it's on Saturn's Rings records, which is the universal record. So this is what I told him. Something to this effect. And so I'm going to have a lot of pausing while I reflect during this recording, this record, and just wait for it to naturally rise. I had mentioned the word legal and public. I said, and the reason why I mentioned the word legal and public, because I didn't want to waste extra energy having to go on and explain to Spenser over the phone what I got going on in the private realm. And the reason why is because anything that I could have said, according to his legal rule that he lives under, which is all assumption, he would assume that anything that I said would be held against me. And that's exactly what goes on when an arrest has happened on the legal side, usually the arresting officer, before the arrest is put into effect, shall read what's called the Miranda rights. And he goes on to say, anything that you say can be held against you. Probably to the effect of in a court of law. But it's really not a court of law. It's a court of legal. Because the law is totally different than what's going on in these legal courts. Although there are some in the legal court system that knows that there is a such thing as law, but what they'll also do, because everything with them is based on dues. So when I say that the word due here, I'm legally, unbound in speaking that word. What they do is they lie. And they go around and they say, this is the law, this is the law, this is the law, this is the law. And they lie because they're looking for a way to convince me, and I'm just going to say me. But I could say everyone, all the rest of the public. I could say that if I want. But I'm just going to say me. They're looking somehow to convince me that anything in law is under legal jurisdiction, which is all assumed jurisdiction. And the reason why it's assumed jurisdiction is because it all starts right there in the hospital with the mother and the child that she's ready to give birth and that doctor. Who basically represents banker, who reports to the attorney. So there's the private side and the public side, both in that hospital. The doctor is considered the private side or the private banker. That's the banker that hides behind the scenes. And then, of course, that doctor has an attorney. And that's the public face. But see, they flip everything around, and it's always the doctor or the banker is in the public, and it's usually the attorney that's hiding in the private. Because most attorneys don't want their names out there, because they know what happens when someone gets a hold of their name. Because now they can be bound to an affidavit. That's why most quote unquote legally now, in the legal realm, an attorney is considered smart if they set up their office and business to where no one knows that they exist. So in the legal side, there is a private side. There's also a private side. In the legal side, there's a private and a public side. But it's different from the lawful private and public side, which is superseding power and holds more power than legal in the legal side. And the reason behind that is because everything in legalism is all assumption. There is no contract. There is no signatures. And everything in law is all contract facts. The truth and nothing but the truth. Everything in public, in legalism, the legal side, operates in fraud. And it's all lies. Every last bit of it's lie. And if there is any truth to it, there's a lie attached to it. And the lie supersedes that truth that they spoke forth. So it's really not truth at all. Although it might seem like there's some truth attached to it, it's really not. It's just a bait and catch, a bait and switch technique. So, getting back to the doctor, and then I'm gonna tie all this in. This all ties right into, the answer that I gave Spenser over the phone. Spenser, the IRS agent, when he asked me the question, is there an agent attached to this tax account? And I gave him a particular answer to conserve energy. And to also not give him an opportunity to see if he can get one over on me. Because I could see that's exactly what he was looking to do. Legally, on the public side, to assume some type of jurisdiction. To see if he could weasel out of any contracts that might be out there on the lawful side that I held and advanced as agent. Because to me, that's what the child bully is always looking. The mud-stuck child bully is always looking for a way to get out of the contract that I got him under. In other words, the legal mudstuck bully child that I'm raising as a lawful mother is always looking to have his own way, which is to control me. To control me. I'm not here to control the child. I'm just letting the child know that I ain't going to be controlled by the child. And when I use the word "by" right there, that's a wonderful word to use right there. Because everything that the legal child system is based on, it's not based on sharing things. It's not based on sharing all the resources equally. It's not based on sharing all the technology equally. It's all based on putting something on the shelf to buy, and it's going to be limited information. It's going to be limited technology, and nothing is going to be shared. It's not a full sharing. Now, legally, they might call it share, but it's attached to a lie, and that lie is to buy. And it's also attached to die. It's also attached to AI. So there's something to that vowel, I. This gets me into word studies, pronunciation studies, letter studies, alphabet studies, number studies, music studies, all kinds of different things connected. So, here's a 20-minute mark. Let me end this video here at 20 minutes, and I'll continue on the next video where I left off right here. Alright. It's Russell Everett, SQ agent, private military lien auditor, Lien number RE043731 US, just as it is printed right here on the screen. Altitude 137.0 meters. What else does it say? Let me get this other thing out of the way. Whoops. That's the weather. There it is. Speed 0.3 kilometers per hour. That must be the wind speed, or whatever the speed is. Anyway, it has navigation coordinates on the screen, on the record screen. Down here at the bottom corner, lit up in white. And over here on the other corner is Springfield map. Springfield, Oregon map. Well, the Eugene, Springfield, Oregon Interstate 5 with the Cross Freeway map. And here's the, I just figured out that there's a zoom in here over here next to the map area with a blue dot exactly where I live at, with the address right here, the same coordinates for the place that I live at, the destination, 150 S Street. But it doesn't say Springfield ordinate. Now it has coordinates here. North 44 degrees, 3 foot 54 inches. West 123 degrees, 1 foot 28 inches. 168 degrees south. And then it has one more thing at the bottom down here. Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, 11:47, 56 seconds, point. And it has a decimal point that keeps going real quick, flickering. Now on this watch, it says 11:47, 39 seconds. So it's a little, this clock that's on this video could be a more accurate clock than this watch. There it says 11:48:24. It says 11:47:59, 11:48 on the watch. So it's 30 seconds ahead on the watch, or on the video screen, which could be a more accurate, and I think it probably is because it's connected to the computer system. These watches are connected to batteries. And I noticed when I was working at Natron Wood Products that I would always have to adjust this watch according to their computer clock-in that they got connected to the computer electricity. So this is the battery time, which is always ends up being either slower or faster than the Natron. I had not really given much thought to whether it was slower or faster. Probably at one time I did, but it's really not hard on the memory. But anyway, so far this watch is 30 seconds behind what I would call probably this atomic clock right here. The atomic punk. The atomic punk. Dun 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 dun. Anyway, so that's a Van Halen song, but and it could be that the atomic clock is probably more accurate than the electric clock. It's hard to tell. I'd have to research into that. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video. I'll start another video. I really like to keep these at 20-minute videos, but so that's the latest training anyway. So, later.